Hi, thank you for clicking. This is the regular verbs in English and Spanish. Let's get started. To accept, aceptar. To add, agregar. To admire, admirar. To admit, admitir. To advise, aconsejar. To afford, afrontar. To agree, estar de acuerdo. To alert, alertar. To allow, permitir. To amuse, entretener. To analyze, analizar. To announce, anunciar. To annoy, molestar. To answer, contestar. To apologize, pedir disculpas, disculparse. To appear, aparecer. To applaud, aplaudir. To appreciate, apreciar. To approve, aprobar. To argue, discutir. To arrange, arreglar. To arrest, arrestar. To arrive, llegar. To ask, preguntar. To attach, adjuntar. To attack, atacar. To attempt, intentar. To attend, asistir. To attract, atraer. To avoid, evitar. To back, apoyar. To bake, hornear. To balance, balancear. To ban, prohibir. To bathe, bañarse. To beg, rogar. To behave, comportarse. To belong, pertenecer. To bless, bendecir. To blind, con, enceguecer. To blink, parpadear. To blush, enrojecer. To boil, hervir. To book, reservar. To bore, aburrir. To borrow, pedir prestado. To bounce, rebotar. To break, frenar. To breathe, to breathe, respirar. To brush, cepillar. To burn, quemar. To bury, enterrar. To call, llamar. To calculate, calcular. To camp, acampar. To care, cuidar. To cause, causar. To challenge, desafiar. To change, cambiar. To charge, cargar. To chase, cazar. To cheat, engañar. To check, verificar. To cheer, alegrar. To chew, mazcar o masticar. To claim, reclamar. To clap, aplaudir. To clean, limpiar. To clear, aclarar. To close, cerrar. To collect, cobrar, coleccionar. To comb, peinar. To compare, comparar. To compete, competir. To complain, quejarse. To complete, completar. To concentrate, concentrarse. To concern, to concern, concernir. To confess, confesar. To confuse, confundir. To connect, conectar. To consider, considerar. To consist, consistir. To contain, contener. To continue, continuar. To cook, cocinar. To copy, copiar. To correct, corregir. to cough, toser, to count, contar, to cover, cubrir, to crack, rajar, to crash, embestir, to crawl, arrastrarse, to cross, cruzar, to crush, aplastar, to cry, gritar, llorar, to cure, curar, to curl, enrolar, curb, to curb, curvar, to cycle, pasear en bicicleta, to damage, dañar, to dance, bailar, to deceive, engañar, to decide, decidir, to decorate, decorar, to delay, demorar, to delete, eliminar, borrar, to delight, deleitar, to deliver, repartir, to depend, depender, to describe, describir, to deserve, merecer, to destroy, destruir, to detect, detectar, to develop, desarrollar, to disagree, no estar de acuerdo, to disappear, desaparecer, to discover, descubrir, to dislike, disgustar, to divide, dividir, to double, duplicar, to doubt, dudar, to dream, soñar, to dress, vestir, to drop, dejar caer, caerse, to drown, ahogar, to dry, secar, to dust, limpiar el polvo, to earn, ganar, to educate, educar, to embarrass, avergonzar, to employ, emplear, to empty, vaciar, to encourage, alentar, to end, finalizar, to enjoy, disfrutar, to enter, ingresar, to entertain, entretener, to escape, es huir, to examine, examinar, to excite, excitar, to excuse, excusarse, to exercise, ejercitar, to exist, existir, to expand, expandir, to expect, esperar, to explain, explicar, to explode, explotar, to extend, extender, to face, enfrentar, to fade, decolorarse, to fail, fracasar, to fancy, imaginar, desear, to fasten, atar, to fax, enviar un fax, to fair, temer, to fetch, ir a buscar, to file, archivar, to feel, llenar, to film, filmar, to finish, terminar, to fire, disparar, despedir, to fit, caber, encajar, to fix, reparar, to flash, brillar, centellear, to float, flotar, to flood, inundarse, to flow, fluir, circular, to flower, florecer, to fold, doblar, to follow, seguir, continuar, to fool, engañar, to force, forzar, to form, formar, to found, fundar, to frame, enmarcar, to frighten, asustar, to fry, freír, to gather, recoger, reunirse, to greet, saludar, to graduate, graduarse, to breeze, to grease, engrasar, to groan, gruñir, to guess, to guess, adivinar, suponer, to guide, guiar, to hammer, martillar, to hand, pasar, entregar, to hang, colgar, ahorcar, to happen, suceder, to harm, dañar, to hate, odiar, to head, encabezar, to hit, calentar, to help, ayudar, to hunt, cazar, ir de caza, to hope, esperar, to hug, abrazar, to hurry, apurarse, to identify, identificar, to ignore, ignorar, to imagine, imaginar, to impress, impresionar, to improve, mejorar, to include, incluir, to increase, aumentar, to influence, influenciar, to inform, informar, to inject, inyectar, to injure, herir, lesionar, to introduce, presentar, to instruct, instruir, to intend, intentar, to interest, interesar, to interfere, interferir, to interrupt, interrumpir, to invest, inventar, to invent, inventar, to invite, invitar, to irritate, irritar, to jail, encarcelar, to join, unir, juntar, to joke, bromear, to judge, juzgar, to jump, saltar, to kick, patear, to kill, matar, to kiss, besar, to kneel, arrodillarse, to knit, tejer, to knock, golpear, to knot, inundar, anudar, anudar, to label, etiquetar, to land, aterrizar, to last, durar, to laugh, reírse, to lunch, lanzar, to label, nivelar, to lick, lamer, to lighten, iluminar, aliviar, to like, gustar, to list, listar, to listen, escuchar, to life, vivir, to load, cargar, to luck, cerrar con llave, too long, durar, to look, mirar, to love, amar, to manage, administrar, to marchar, to marcar, to marry, casarse, too much, hacer juego, to measure, medir, to melt, derretirse, to memorize, memorizar, to mend, remendar, to milk, ordeñar, to miss, perder, extrañar, to mix, mezclar, to move, mover, mudarse, to multiply, multiplicar, to murder, asesinar, to nail, clavar, to name, nombrar, to need, necesitar, to note, advertir, fijarse en, to notice, prestar atención, to number, numerar, to obey, obedecer, to object, objetar, to observe, observar, to obtain, obtener, to offend, ofender, to offer, ofrecer, to open, abrir, to order, ordenar, pedir, to overflow, inundar, to owe, adeudar, to pack, empacar, to paint, pintar, to park, estacionar, to pass, pasar, aprobar, to paste, pegar, to pat, acariciar, to pause, detenerse, to pedal, pedalear, to peel, pelar, to peep, echar una ojeada, to perform, ejecutar, to phone, llamar por teléfono, to pick, recoger, levantar, to plan, planear, planificar, to plant, plantar, to place, ubicar, to play, tocar un instrumento, jugar, to please, complacer, to plug, conectar, to appoint, señalar, to polish, ilustrar, to possess, poseer, to post, enviar un correo, to pour, derramar, to practice, practicar, to pray, orar, rezar, to proceed, proceder, to prefer, preferir, to prepare, preparar, to present, presentar, regalar, to press, presionar, apretar, to pretend, fingir, to prevent, impedir, to print, imprimir, to produce, producir, to program, programar, to promise, prometer, to protect, proteger, to provide, proveer, to pull, tirar de, to pump, bombear, to punish, castigar, to push, empujar, to cue, hacer cola, to rain, llover, to raise, levantar, to reach, alcanzar, to realize, darse cuenta, to receive, recibir, to recognize, reconocer, to record, grabar, to reduce, reducir, to reflect, reflejar, to refuse, rechazar, to regret, lamentarse, to relax, relajarse, to release, soltar, to rely, confiar, to remain, permanecer, to remember, recordar, to remind, hacer recordar, remove, eliminar, to rent, alquilar, to repair, reparar, to repeat, repetir, to replace, reemplazar, to reply, responder, to report, informar, to reproduce, reproducir, to request, solicitar, to rescue, rescatar, to retire, jubilarse, to return, regresar, to rhyme, rimar, to rings, enjugar, to risk, arriesgar, to rob, robar, to row, remar, to rub, frotar, to ruin, arruinar, to rule, regir, dominar, to suck, despedir, to sail, navegar, to satisfy, satisfacer, to save, salvar, ahorrar, guardar, to scream, gritar, to screw, atornillar, to seal, sellar, to search, buscar, to separate, separar, to serve, servir, to settle, establecer, to share, compartir, to shave, afeitarse, to shelter, proteger, resguardar, to shop, comprar, to sigh, suspirar, to sign, firmar, to signal, hacer señales, to sin, pecar, to ski, esquiar, to skip, sol, saltearse, to slip, deslizarse, to slow, disminuir la velocidad, to smell, oler, to smile, sonreír, to smoke, fumar, to sneeze, estornudar, to snore, roncar, to snow, nevar, to soak, empa empapar, to soak, empapar, to sound, sonar, to spell, deletrear, to spill, derramar, to spoil, malcriar, to spray, vaporizar, to start, arrancar, comenzar, to stay, quedarse, permanecer, to stop, pararse, detenerse, to store, almacenar, to stretch, estirar, to succeed, tener éxito, to suffer, sufrir, to suggest, sugerir, to supply, proveer, to support, apoyar, to suppose, suponer, to surprise, sorprender, to surround, rodear, to suspect, sospechar, to surprise, to suspend, colgar, suspender, to switch, cambiar, enchufar, to talk, conversar, to taste, saborear, to tease, tomar el pelo, atormentar, to tempt, tentar, to terrify, aterrizar, aterrorizar, to terrify, aterrorizar, to test, comprobar, to thank, agradecer, to tick, tildar, marcar, to tidy, ordenar, to tie, atar, to tip, dar propina, to touch, tocar, to tow, remolcar, to trade, comerciar, negociar, to train, entrenar, to transport, transportar, to travel, viajar, to tremble, temblar, to trust, confiar, to try, tratar, intentar, to turn, volver, dar vuelta, to twist, doblar, to type, escribir a máquina, to use, usar, to banish, desaparecer, to visit, visitar, to wait, esperar, to walk, caminar, to want, querer, to warn, advertir, to wash, lavar, to waste, gastar, desperdiciar, to watch, vigilar, to wait, pesar, to welcome, dar la bienvenida, to whisper, susurrar, to whistle, silbar, to wipe, limpiar, secar, to wish, desear, to wonder, imaginarse, preguntarse, to work, trabajar, to worry, preocuparse, to yawn, bostezar, to yell, gritar, to zoom, pasar muy rápido, acercar. These were the most used regular verbs. Now, learn all of them and have fun.